everything's going okay.
All right. Well,
So do you
welcome.
stay here to hear everything?
Yep, you can just stay right here.
Okay.
All right. So right now I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Zulma Gonzalez. This mic is all
Everything's
yours, my
going
friend.
okay.
Hi. Well, good morning, everyone. I was literally getting dressed while this was happening. I'm still doing what I'm doing. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. This is called being real, right? The joy of it. Here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. A thankful Thursday to each and every only one of us. Connie, welcome. Welcome, welcome. I heard you. Glad you're here. I am literally coming undone. But all is well. All is well. I was running like at 9:13, my alarm goes off. Karen Drucker plays. I am grateful um to let me know that it's time to come on here. And I'm coming on and I'm finishing up with the slides. I realize, wait a minute. Uh I can't do that. That's not, we are PG here. Relatively PG. So, all right. So this is how the head wrap is tied. And however it happens, it happens. And so it is. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Uh, whew, ah, taking slow, deep breaths. Taking slow, deep breaths. Welcome, family, to A Course in Miracles Meets Science of Mind and Other Metaphysical Teachings. Connie, I heard you. I remember it was 1992 when I discovered the course. I had just read Marianne Williamson's Return to Love, and I couldn't tell anybody about this. Are you kidding me? They would have thought, she, it's the devil. The devil has appeared. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Um, and it was years. I studied the course alone for years. And even though I absolutely am grateful, grateful, grateful for to have group, I'm kind of glad that I had it on my own. I remember always saying to people, as far as the Bible, I said, you read it for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you what it says. And that's how I felt about the course. And that's how I still feel about the course because, a sentence may apply to my individualized expression of what God is differently to how it applies to your individualized expression of what God is. And then, I mean, for example, some people have an issue with forgiving other people. Others may have an issue with forgiving self. Others may have a issue with forgiving whatever. But it's different for each and every one of us because we see life through our own individual eyes. And I'm glad I brought that up because today we're going to talk about workbook lessons 1 and 2. But before I do that, let's do what we do. um this is always the fun part. Share screen two. Oh, but screen two should not be that. It should be this. It's not that. So why is it not that? Um, Tell me if you see the screen moving. A Course in Miracles Meet Science of Mind showing up on the screen.
Yes, there it is.
There it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. All right. All right. I'm on the right path. Last week was so much fun. Lynn, thank you for saving me from myself. Thank you for saving me from myself because I got to a point. I remember I haven't even gone back to listen to it. I don't usually do that anyway. Um, but I heard myself say, I'm not having fun. And Lynn jumped right in and helped the child in me to calm down because I was in a mess. um, I what I love about being here and Connie, the people here, you will find we're the same all the time. We really are. Real as real can be, and and we're reminded all the time that we're here to be as real can be. with all our, seeming mistakes and all our seeming imperfections and all our seeming this and seeming that. And that's the whole problem, that it all seems to be what it's not, when only the truth is true. All right. So, of course, in Miracles Meet Science of Mind and Other Metaphysical Teachings. Uh, this is coming from initially other metaphysical teachings that came long before the course, things that I know Helen Schuckman's mother read. I'm going to assume, because she was just brilliant, that she herself read a lot of this, and it all came through her as the Spirit led her to bring it, and I am so grateful for it. I did not. Oh, you know what I didn't I don't have is my other slides that I usually bring to this. Oh, wrong screen. I have the wrong screen, but that's okay. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to take a moment just to remind us, Oh, I did have the right screen. Anyway, just to remind us that that we are to begin each day with time devoted to the preparation of our minds to learn what each idea we will review that day can offer us in freedom and in peace. Each day, time devoted, preparation of our minds. Each day, time devoted to the preparation of our mind, as we remember that this is a course in mind training, that all learning involves attention and study at some level, that an untrained mind can accomplish nothing, that to learn how to think is to learn how to live, and that we should daily train daily train our thought to recognize the Spirit in everything we do, say, or think. I'm burning up. Okay, here we go. Time for the fan. In everything we do, say, or think, there is no other way. To try any other way would be to make a complete failure. Christian Larson says that we naturally become master over all life when we can understand and master the process of thinking. That is from my slide called Mind Your Mind, which I don't have in front of me as part of this slideshow today. Maybe I do. Maybe I can. There it is. Okay. Let's do that. All right. From current slide. There we go. There we go. Mind your mind. Can you? Oh, am I sharing? Did I share? I'm not sharing, am I? I'm not in share mode. Okay. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to slow myself down. I'm going to slow myself down because I'm moving too fast for my own good. There we are.
There we are. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
There we are. Here we go, family. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to 2025. I laugh when people, they say Happy New Year, and for me, the new year starts August 22nd. And whatever your birthday is, and that to me would be when people's new year starts. I'm that person that always has to say something differently. I don't know why that started, where that came from, but I enjoy that about me, and people seem to get a kick out of it too, and that's fine if they do, and fine if they don't. But I just welcome people to the new year. Last year, I was asleep when we moved from December 31st to January 1st. And I happened to wake up, I don't know, sometime in the middle of the night and ask myself, well, what day is it? I wasn't sure. And I love how the Course says, make all things different by making them all the same. We move from one year to the next and all that. But unless there's the fireworks or you're watching the ball or, a bunch of people hanging out together, oh, I'm sorry, lovable. I can't tell the difference between one moment and the next. I wouldn't know that 9:15 and 9:30 on Thursday morning look any different from 9:15 or 9:30 any other morning if it wasn't for the fact that I have alarms and things like that, because we live in this time. But it proves to me that there is no time, because I can start talking and keep on talking, and next thing I know, the time has, so-called time has passed, and I'm talking longer than I'm supposed to, or not as long as I'm supposed to. We're making the whole thing up. We've created these compartments that we call our lives, and they're not even real. They're not even real. I went to New Jersey a couple days ago, and I brought the one from December 31st to the 1st there, and I'm coming back across the bridge, and there was this one point where I was still in New Jersey, and then it was the next point where my GPS said, "Welcome to Pennsylvania." And I thought, "Thank you." And I looked, I just happened to just glance, and I couldn't see a difference between where New Jersey stopped and Pennsylvania began. Same thing with time. Same thing with all these compartments that we put our lives into. And the problem with that isn't that we compartmentalize things, but we think that our compartments are right and other people's are wrong. How dare you be late? I was here 15 minutes early. You should have been on time. Should. Oh, you should have been on you should have been here on time. And we think we're, and then we give our peace, we just give it away. We just give our peace away by doing that, because we think that we're right. We'd rather be right than happy. No, I'd rather be happy. I'd rather be happy. So, welcome to 2025. And here we go. I wanted to talk about workbook lessons 1 and lessons 2. However, I wanted to talk to them from the review lessons from 1 and 2, workbook lesson 51. Workbook lesson number 1 teaches us that nothing we see means anything. Nothing I see means anything. And what made me do this is that I tripped over something uh yesterday evening. I tripped over something. Um and I'm saying I'm talking to myself, just move that out the way. And I did. And then I'm looking at, I don't even remember what it was now. See, that's how much that's how meaningless it was. And I'm thinking, why do I even still have this? I need to throw this away. It's serving me no purpose. It's serving me no purpose. And I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking, and I went, and it took me right to this lesson that I have given the time that I purchased it. It meant so much to me. But the fact is that it in and of itself means nothing. Workbook lesson number 1 teaches nothing I see means anything. And the reason why this is so is that I see nothing. And nothing has no meaning. I like that. Nothing has no meaning. Everything in front of me, all the stuff I own, excuse me. I need a moment. I need a moment. Go back. Everything that I own, everything that I think is important. Okay. Everything that I own, everything that I think is important. If today were the last physical day of my life, and someone were to come in, had to come in and they would just throw stuff away. Oh, they might say, "Oh, I like that scarf. Oh, I like that, that shawl," or I can use these cast iron pans that she hasn't used yet. But generally speaking, they're just going to take the stuff and just throw it away. It means nothing to them, nothing. And yet it means so much to me. This cast iron pan that I have yet to use, that I was so, at the time that I purchased it, seemed to mean so much. Nothing. It has no meaning. There are those who think, "Oh, cast iron, that's too heavy. There's no way." Somebody else is going to try to sell it. You know what I mean? we invest in the tangibles, and not only the things that we purchase, but people. That person is special. That person means so much. I have this beautiful doggy who's poor baby. He can't. He's trying to get a nap, and I'm making too much noise for him. There we go, baby boy. There we go. You'll see him later, Connie. You will meet Lovable soon enough. Everybody knows Lovable, and you will too. But we give meaning to all these things. We make these things important to us. This is my life, and this is I need this thing in order to blah blah blah. When the fact is, when you hear about these stories of people who for some reason or another end up losing, or the things that that belonged to them, these things that were in their possession no longer were, for some reason or another, and they continue to survive, and in some cases even thrive, because they begin to realize what really does have meaning. But I'm going to go on with this. Nothing I see means anything. The reason this is so is that I see nothing, and nothing has no meaning. It is necessary that I recognize this, that I may learn to see. I'm talking about seeing not with the physical eye, but seeing with vision. What I think I see now is taking the place of vision. I must let it go by realizing it has no meaning, so that vision may take its place. Now, Connie, I don't know where you are in the course. I didn't hear all that. I don't know if you were, talking about that before I left, or, before I was running around trying to put on clothing, but Connie, would you take a moment, for my benefit, just for my benefit, to unmute? Let me know how long what's your relationship to the course?
Oh, yes, I'd love to tell you. I don't get to share it very often, because around here, whenever I try to ask people if they'd like to join me with it, they are not the least bit interested and look at me like I'm crazy. But I met the course in 2003, I think. In my first book, my first Course in Miracles book, I wrote down the date that I started it. Sorry, the sun's in my eyes. And I was at one of my other best friends' house. She's passed away, and her and I had spent our whole life trying to find the true God. And she was a big Bible studier. And I mean, she could quote scripture like nobody's mother. And she led me to God, but I couldn't find the peace of God in the Bible. I was having a lot of problems with the fear and the love. And I'm like, look, I just cannot do that. And I just can't believe that this is true. There's got to be something else out there. And she was really a cutting edge person. Anyway, and we would have weekends where we would go and just have spiritual retreats together. We would play Tibetan music bells. We would study quantum physics, Dan Millman, Socrates, everything you could think of. I had also found, the Rosicrucians. I went down that road it was a brief road, but that was pretty fun, actually. But anyway, and I was like, still just don't think this is right. And, but I knew it was there, and I just sat down on my haunches and I waited. And one day I was sitting at her house. We had our spiritual weekend together, and she had A Course in Miracles. And I picked up the book and I opened it and read, and I wish to God I knew what page I turned to, because I don't remember. And I read some of it, and I looked at her and I said, Mary, here's the answer right here. Mm. This is what we're looking for. Why didn't you tell me about this? What is this? Oh, it's A Course in Miracles, blah, 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 blah. I picked it up, but I just can't seem to read it. And I'm like, but here, this is the answer. Whatever it was I read, I said, this is the answer. This is what we've got to do right here. So I had her book in my hand, and she said, well, you can't have my book.
Like, okay. It meant so much to her.
Yeah, she said, "You can't have my book." So I left. I lived in Columbus, Georgia then, and I I was coming home, and on my way home, I stopped at Barnes and Noble, and they had one book, and that was 2003. So I went home with the book, and I looked at it, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to read this book like this is the best meal of my life. I'm going to savor every word, savor everything that's said. I'm going to take my time, and I'm just going to enjoy it." And I did. And I mean, the book talked to me. Like it became a tempo in my head.
Mhm.
And if I hit a rough spot, I said, "Look, Jesus, all you said I had to bring the willingness, and this is what I got, but you're gonna have to help me right now because I ain't getting this part.
Yeah.
Bring it to me. I'm waiting." But prior to that, I have to just tell you a little story. My daughter had turned in fifth and sixth grade, uh, lack of a better word, I think she was possessed. It was she just turned into a very, very rebellious child, and I felt like my line, my goal as a parent was to keep her between the lines until she could see straight and make good decisions. Well, anyhow, during that spell, I realized that I was asking God all the wrong questions because I was saying, "God, what do I do? Erica's doing this, Erica's doing that," or "God, what do I do? My husband's cancer, blah, blah, blah." And finally I said, "You know what? I'm not really asking the right question." And I said, "God, I'm just going to tell you right now, I will not ask another question until you tell me what the question is." And somewhere in the beginning of A Course in Miracles, and it's probably highlighted in my first book, I came to a place and it said the something like the only question you need to ask is, do you want to know the will of God? And I sat there, and when I read that, my ego went crazy. It said, "What do you mean, your will? What about my will?" And I knew then I was in a lot of trouble. Like, where did that come from? And who are you? So that's kind of the story. My husband had terminal cancer while I was reading all of this. Thank God I had a course because I made it, because every time I had to remember a lot of times to see the love. I didn't need to be right. I wanted to be happy. It was hard sometimes. I feel like I did fairly decent, with all of that. And that's why it surprised me in the earlier meeting that I was talking to him, is these odd stuff that I thought I had forgave has popped up out of nowhere. And I was like, I just can't. And then I feel guilty about it. And then I justify it. I just went back around the tree again. But that's kind of where it is. Read a
Thank
lot of
you.
Kenneth Wapnick, stuff like that. Sorry if I talk too much.
Oh, no, no, no. I appreciate it. I appreciate it because that just lets me know how much I don't have to explain. It's one thing. Meet Lovable, Connie Meet
I see it.
Lovable found me. He found me on the street, June 13th of last year. Wait a minute, I've had him now since June of 23. It's June of 23. Oh my God, it's been a year and a half already. He found me on the street. He was 10 pounds, 1 ounce. He's now close to 20, and the veterinarian's giving me dirty looks. But anyway, um, he's the fun part of my life. Anyway, okay. But like everything else, he is, I give him meaning. So do a lot of people here now too, but I give him a lot of meaning and realizing that go ahead, jump, jump. Um yeah. And we give things all the meaning that it has for us. I hear you. Thank you for your story. Thank you for that. Look forward to hearing more from you at another time. Look forward to that. Um, the fun part of all that is us thinking that we're right and then realizing that we think we've forgiven this and forgiven that. And then for me, it comes down at this point, it's not even about forgiving something or someone outside of me. It's me realizing that what I'm forgiving is that I thought that should be different. That's really all I have to forgive. It's never about anything or anyone out there. And that's the starting point. It's never anything or anyone out there. It's me thinking that that was supposed to be different. It should have been this way. It should have been that way. And you'll hear me over and over say that we should on everything too much. We need to keep our should to ourselves. We should on this, we should on that, SHOULD. We need to keep our should to ourselves. So me thinking that it should be different is always the problem. That's always what causes me the pain, me not willing to accept. When you're talking about my will or your will, my will is thinking that it should be different, and God's will is accepting it as it is. It simply is. God is, truth is, life is. Enough said. I can stop right there. So I have judged everything I look upon. Oh, let me go back and just share in this share mode. Review of lesson 2 says, I have given what I see all the meaning it has for me. I have judged everything I look upon, and it is this and only this I see. This is not vision. It's merely an illusion of reality, because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality, which is what I was just saying. I'm seeing it the way I think. I'm thinking it should be a different way. In other words, I'm creating my own reality. I'm making stuff up. I'm making stuff up. You know, why did it have to rain today? Why can't the sun be shining? Oh, it was supposed to be a sunshiny day. I had planned on wearing these open toe shoes and all that. And then I take myself through all this stuff because I'm thinking it should be a different way. Oh, no, God, you made a mistake. I know what I'm talking about. I know nothing. I know nothing. And that actually becomes fun because life becomes an adventure. That's my new thing. It's an adventure. I just came back from Egypt, and our flight was delayed for 5 hours because of fog. And I mean, people were upset because we were delayed, and I'm thinking, but wait, I said, this is a new adventure. I've never experienced this before, and I really want the pilot to be able to see where he's taking me. So I'm okay with the delay. Got off the plane, found someplace to sleep, got a couple hours, good couple hours rest, had a chance to conversate with some people. It was really just a new adventure, as opposed to it should be this way. Oh, I was supposed to be. Oh, but what about? It is what it is. Not vision. It's merely an illusion of reality because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality. Today, I am willing to recognize the lack of validity in my judgments because I want to see. The workbook lessons, they say, above all else, I want to see things differently. I want to see things differently. I want to be able to see in such a way that when I open my eyes, I see peace. That I don't recognize, that I don't look at life as me being a victim of it, that I recognize the peace. I can see peace instead of whatever it is I see. Whatever it is I see, I can see peace. And knowing that I have that choice today for me is the greatest gift of all. My judgments have hurt me, and I do not want to see according to them. My judgments have hurt me. And this is from workbook lesson 51, when in the review lessons of the first 50. This is just the first 2 of those. From there, we're going to Dr. Ernest Holmes. I think we are. It's not moving. It's not moving. You should be moving. Here we go. Dr. Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind, the definitive edition. By the way, Connie, I am a licensed practitioner of religious science of mind. Dr. Ernest Holmes was the founder of religious science, and now called Science of Mind. He came along in the late 1800s and left in 1960, left the physical realm in 1960. He and other metaphysicians, who I'll speak more about them at different times. Um, this is the Course in Miracles was my #1 book, and the Science of Mind book became a #2 book, if you will. And I'm appreciating and enjoying other metaphysicians who clearly were read by other metaphysicians. All right. So Ernest Holmes says, look only at what you want. We're talking about seeing things as they are. We're talking about um, not looking at what's in front of us. He says, never look at that which you do not wish to experience. This morning, I was having a conversation with someone. We were talking about our pensions. We just got a slight increase in our pensions, and that the question came, "Did you see the increase?" And I said, "Yeah, I see it." You know, and the comment came, "Well, I just sure hope that the new administration doesn't blah blah blah, doesn't mess with us." And I said, "Why'd you say that?" And he said, "Because I hope that they don't mess with us." I said, "Then why are you talking about that?" He says, "Well, I hope they don't mess with it. But why are you bringing that up?" And I just kept on until he realized what I was saying. You're bringing up something that you don't want. Why? I don't say I hope I hope it doesn't rain. I say I hope it's a sunshiny day. I don't want sunshine. I'm not looking for the rain. So I say what I want, not what I don't want. We do it all the time. Oh, be careful! Don't get into an accident. Why? Why are you? I didn't even think about an accident until you brought it up. Oh, don't. No, no. What course says what for? It says do only this. It doesn't say don't do that. Well, it does. The course does, but it's as it's giving us the instruction. Do only this. This is the purpose. This is purpose. If I'm being given directions to go somewhere and people are saying, and when you get to the corner, don't, you need to make a right, but don't go left because, do you know that that left is on my mind? It would have never crossed my mind if they hadn't mentioned going left in the first place. So never look at that which you do not wish to experience. No matter what the false condition may be, it must be refuted. And it's a false condition because we're taught in the Bible is written that Jesus said, don't judge by appearances. The proper kind of a denial is based upon the recognition that in reality there is no limitation. For mind with a capital M can as easily make a planet as an acorn. The infinite knows no difference between $1 million and a penny. That's what the first miracle principle says, that there's no order of difficulties. There's no such thing as harder or easier. There's no such thing. Everything just is. We decide based on the meaning that we give it, that it's harder or not as hard as. Anyway, the infinite knows no difference between $1 million and a penny. It only knows that it is. It is the consciousness back of the word that forms the word. Consciousness means the inner embodiment of an idea through the recognition of truth and a direct relationship to the divine. Again, we're looking at what we're seeing and how we're seeing it, recognizing that what we see in and of itself means nothing, that only the meaning that we give it is what has meaning to it for us. When Connie, you say 2003, I say 1992. 2003 was a very important year for you where Course in Miracles was concerned. And 1992 was a very important year for me where the Course in Miracles was concerned. But if I say, oh, Connie, 1992, what does it mean to you? And you have to think, well, let me see, what was I doing in 1992? Oh, I don't know, Zulma. And but wait, Connie, 1992, A Course in Miracles. You're like, wait, what? So this is again me thinking that I'm supposed to be right, that I'm supposed to know, that you should know what I know, that we're supposed to, that's shoulding. We're back to that, and that is a great way to lose my peace. Consciousness means the inner embodiment of an idea through the recognition of truth, capital T, and a direct relationship to the divine. That's from Dr. Ernest Holmes. From one of my favorites now, Joel S. Goldsmith, from his book, A Parenthesis in Eternity. Joel says, light in the spiritual sense. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to read. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to stop this share because I'm going to read from his. No. You know what? No, let me do this now. Light in a spiritual sense is the illumined consciousness, not illumined by a light, but illumined by wisdom. Whereas I was blind, now I see, does not refer to blindness or to an absence of sight. It is the figurative way of saying that whereas before we were in ignorance, now we have attained wisdom. Ignorance is frequently referred to as darkness and wisdom as light, but there is no actual darkness or light about them. I'm going to stop share here for a moment. I'm going to stop share here, and I'm going to share over here. I am sharing from, let's try to make that bigger for you. I am sharing from A Parenthesis in Eternity by Joel Goldsmith. Which is where I was just reading light in the spiritual sense. And I was saying there is no actual darkness or light about them. That's at the bottom of this page. He continues, it requires months, sometimes years of spiritual experience before we can realize that in my kingdom, light and darkness are the same, and that we are not trying to change darkness into light or to get rid of darkness in order to get light. Now, this sounds somewhat contradictory to what but he's going to bring it together, I assure you. It sounds somewhat contradictory to what we're learning in the course or in some of the other teachings, because we keep thinking that darkness is a bad place. That darkness, that we know we're those who seek the light, or in fact, in the course, I believe it's workbook lesson 188, it says those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes, because the light it's always there. It's always there. For the winter solstice, our service at the Center of Peace, I was a poem where I talked about that darkness, everything that we call, the light has come from the darkness. The dark has always been there. We need it. We can't see the light. We can't see the stars in the sky. We can't see the stars unless we can see the dark of the sky. It's always there. So he goes on to say, Joel Goldsmith goes on to say, my kingdom, darkness and that light and darkness are the same, and that we are not trying to change darkness into light or to get rid of darkness in order to get light. Darkness and light are one. Grasping that concept is a big leap for anyone, but for the person ignorant of spiritual wisdom and untrained in metaphysics and mysticism, it is an even greater leap, almost an impossible one, to grasp the idea that dis-ease and health are one. They are really just opposite ends of the same stick. When we can state with conviction, as far as I am concerned, darkness and light are one. I am not seeking to get rid of one to get the other. I am seeking only to realize spiritual wisdom, spiritual truth, and the divine presence. When we can state with these words with conviction, then we shall begin to perceive the spiritual nature of this universe. It is when we are trying to get rid of something or to get something that we have left the spiritual universe for the universe of human concepts. Now, I read this morning. I'm like, wow, hey, how about that? Because when we're talking about this or that, Now we're talking about the ego, living by comparison, that there's something else, that there's something other than God, that there is God and Joel Goldsmith says there is no and. There's only God. We talk about uh um love and fear. Well, fear, we're calling that, the absence of eh, fear is a call for love. That's what it is. It's a call for love. We just have this word we call fear because that's how we've been taught, that everything has to have an opposite, that there has to be something different. But if we're thinking that way, then we're thinking from the egos to the ego thought system. And the Course reminds us that the ego and the Holy Spirit are both just a decision. That's really what they are. It's a decision. In truth, there is no such thing as an ego. In truth, there is no such thing as Holy Spirit. It's a decision in our minds. And we get to choose. We always get to choose. So, and I love how Joe Goldsmith says that here, that neither one nor the other is when we're looking at one and trying to get rid of something or trying to get something, then we're thinking that there's more than one thing, that there are differences, that there is something else. There is nothing else. He says it's when we're trying to get rid of something or to get something that we have left the spiritual universe for the universe of human concepts. Neither dis-ease nor health has any part in the spiritual life. All of this in the spiritual life is God, spirit infinitely and eternally manifested as individual, incorporeal being. Incorporeal being cannot be known through the senses of sight, hearing, taste, touch, or smell. I say that all the time. Those are the tangibles. It can be experienced only in our consciousness, but once that experience comes to us, we shall really understand that darkness and light are one. And what is that one? Mortal illusion, Maya, appearance. Whatever we are aware of through the senses, sickness and poverty today or health and wealth tomorrow, is an illusion. We are not beholding reality until, through our spiritual awareness, we become incorporeal spiritual being. When we can look out upon this human world and ask, what has it profited the world all its wars, and receive the answer, nothing, we are beginning to reach the goal. Hand in hand with this question must come a second one. What has it profited the world all the days in which there has been no war? And this too shall receive the answer, nothing. Now, I hadn't read this far this morning, so I'm going to go with this one more paragraph and leave it at that. Spiritually, then, it is not war or peace we are seeking. It is the government of God, spiritual government, divine government. And where does this take place? In our consciousness. That's where it must be realized. This is Joe Goldsmith. I don't know, Joe Goldsmith. We study him here on Fridays from 11:30 to 1 in Eastern time, 11:30 to 1, right here. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal. His work is phenomenal. Joe Goldsmith. He left the planet in 1964. And his writings are referred to as the Infinite Way. Phenomenal stuff, and makes plenty sense to me. I can't say for anybody else, but it makes plenty sense to me. And it really, there's only God. Call it what you want. Call it what you want. Call it a flower. Call it the sunshine. Call it cancer. Call it whatever you want to call it. It's still all God. My friend Reverend Sarah Bowen, she says that the word God is just a placeholder. That means everything. Because ruler, creator, everything. What can there, what can separate us? The belief in separation in any form is the problem. That's the problem, that we think that we can be separate. Oh, I'm separate from you because I have this and you don't have that, or you have that and I don't have this, or because you're taller or shorter or darker or lighter or older or younger or went to had more schooling than me. That belief in separation in any form, because I have an illness, mine is bigger than yours. Yeah, yeah, I hear that you had this, but you had a splinter, but no, I had, this other thing. That whole thing, it's different forms of separation. That's the ego analyzing all the time. It's trying to find the beauty of the rose by taking the petals off. It's that whole concept of separation isn't just, that person is saying this and I don't like it. And no, it's anything. And we do it all the time. Walk down the street and we pass a judgment on somebody just by the way they look. And we think we're right. We pass judgment just on that. In some cases, we grab our handbag a little tighter. With young folk, we grab our it's just we're ingrained with that. Hey, my brother, we're ingrained with that. We're ingrained. And the key is to come out of that sleep of forgetfulness, as the Course says, to engage with God, to be willing to see God in everything all the time, in everything all the time. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And I think this is my last slide. So I'm going to talk slow. I got 10 whole minutes. Let's see how this works. From Raymond Charles Barker and Ernest Holmes, from their 365 Days of Richer Living, which I love. Raymond Charles Barker was a student of Ernest Holmes. Was a student of her. I don't know if he actually met and studied with Ernest Holmes or had Ernest Holmes already passed. I don't know. But Raymond Charles Barker, phenomenal writer, um, has written some excellent works. And he wrote, and he in conjunction with Dr. Ernest Wright, I am resolved to, and again, we're talking about seeing. Nothing I see means anything. And and nothing I see means anything, that I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. So with that, I'm talking about the importance of seeing as clearly as I can, as to seeing through the mind of God, to recognize that God is in everything I see because God is in my mind, to remember that, to remember that in those moments, and not as we're taught in review 1 after lesson 50, not when things are all kumbaya and everything is great, but it's during those so-called times of turmoil. That's the time to remember. I am resolved today to see the good in everyone and in every event, which is not easy. Oh, we turn on the television. If you turn on the television, I learned yesterday, because I don't watch the news here at home, but at the home of my client, I turned on the news yesterday, and all day long they were showing about the guy from Texas who was in the military, who intentionally drove into a crowd of people, where X amount of people's bodies perished, and he had these. Okay, I have to laugh here. He had these IUDs. Now, I always thought of IUD was something to do with birth control. Come on now. IUD is a birth control device, right? Well, anyway, he had these these IUDs that were detonated, that they were explosives. Like, wow, I had never, I had no idea. So at first I'm chuckling because, see, I have to find the good in it. So yeah, I'm chuckling when they first said IUDs. I'm like, what? IUDs. They were explosive devices. So I am resolved today to see the good in everyone and in every event. In that young man, who felt the need to do this. I understand he had an ISIS flag and all that, all that. So and this was on the television all day long, and they keep the television on all day long. So it was repetitious, and so I know more than I need to know. But anyway, I shall call upon the good and shall refuse to accept that anything other than good can come into my experience. Now, I have to pay attention to what I'm calling good, because see, and sometimes I take issue, as some of you know, with the word good, because I'm saying, well, if there's something good, then that means there's something bad. But no. I'm talking about all of it. Take the O out of good, call it God. Put the O back in good, and put the O back in, call it good. Whatever. It's just the isness of it all. Because had I been one of the people that was in New Orleans when this occurred, had I been one of the people who had gotten run over, it would still be good. It's still all God. Anyway, it goes, it's all God. And my job is to see the good in everyone and in every event. Remembering, this is a course in mind training. This is a course in my finding my peace, in my finding the peace that I already am. Peace is an attribute in me, the course teaches. So regardless of the situation, as I'm watching this on television yesterday, because they're all lessons that God would have me learn. I'm watching this yesterday, and what's the lesson here, Zulma? What's the lesson? And then in the middle of that, they turn around and they say, "Oh, and by the way, something exploded in in Las Vegas too. Somebody drove into it, had some vehicle drove into a parking garage, and that exploded." I said, "Oh, here we go. What stuff is happening around the country?" Calm down, Zulma. Calm down. I had a moment. I did. Oh, stuff is happening. What does this mean? Well, at the moment, it means that where I was sitting was perfectly fine. Had my computer in front of me, had my food, had my doggy, had my client, watching it on television. It was over there, not right here. Nothing for me to, mm-mm, mm-mm. And remembering that the body is my communication device. It is not what I am. That's the time for me to remember. That is the time for me to remember that I am spirit, that I am not this body. That those bodies that were out there on the ground yesterday in this on this television, that they too are spirit, that they had served their purpose. The course says nothing survives its purpose. They had served their purpose, and maybe and for them, and for us, it's still a lesson. Lessons for some of us. The young man who they put on the who had witnessed some of what was happening, that he got a chance to talk about it, and the lessons for each and every one of us. Not how bad this was, and how dare that guy do this and all that. No. That's not helping my peace. That's not helping me to come here and even be able to talk about this. If anything, I'd be, in a corner somewhere in terror. Oh, is it going to happen here next? Am I going to worry about, the tomorrow? Is it going to be here in Philadelphia? What? Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I am resolved today to see the good in everyone and in every event. I see God in everything, personified in all people, manifest in every event. That's my mission. That is my mission. That is my recognizing that I'm not the victim of the world I see, that I am inventing the world I see, that there's another way of looking at the world, that I can see peace instead of whatever somebody else is calling it. I kept getting annoyed with I let myself get annoyed with the woman who the broadcaster, the TV broadcaster, who was asking people questions. So what's your reaction to what so and so said about the fact that the guy drove on the pavement, and they weren't expecting that? What's your reaction to that? And what his reaction is, because this was a learning experience for the people out there the police force who was positioning themselves to protect and guard certain areas. They know now that they also have to guard the pavement. It's a learning experience. But to ask somebody, do you feel that they were incompetent because what? This isn't something that happened before. This isn't something that was prepared for before. They did what they knew to do. We do what we know to do. And this applies to everything and everyone. So when we decide we want to get upset with somebody because of what they did and what they said, and that we decide that this is what we want to do, we need to look at the fact that they only do what they know to do at that time. Our job, my job, is to see God in everything, personified in all people, manifest in every event. The Spirit is not separated from the person or the event. It unites each to itself, vitalizing each with the energy of its own being, creating each through its own divine imagination. I, too, am an instrument of its perfection. Now, let me say it, not only me, but the guy that was driving the vehicle, the people who were hit by the vehicle, the person who was in the vehicle that exploded, other people that we see on television, the people that we encounter walking down the street, the family member who gets on our last nerve. I'm talking about me. If I sound like I'm talking too much, whatever, however it is, we're judging these things. It all is an instrument of its perfection, the perfection of spirit, the perfection of God. The truth is, perfect means complete. It means whole. It's complete in itself, not in my judgment, not in what I think it is, not in what I think it should be. But it is what it is. Workbook lesson 268, let all things be exactly as they are. That just means, and I don't mean like, I'm giving it permission to be. No, I'm choosing to accept it as it is. I too am an instrument of its perfection. I'm talking about God. I see God in everything, personified in everything. The Spirit is not separate. There is no separation. I too am an instrument of its perfection, as is everything and everybody. And today I recognize my union, which is perfect and complete. And in that perfection and in that completion, I give thanks for having this opportunity. I got through the hour. I did it. Connie, thank you for being here. Welcome. Hope to see you again and again and again. Okay, so somebody's saying, oh, the handwritten, the best. Okay, and then we should all, oh, yes, we should all over ourselves. Yeah, Mickey said that. And so it is. And so it is. And with that, Lynn, I'm going to turn over the mic. Oh, look at the Karenites, the Karen thing. Oh,
Isn't
look
that
at what.
beautiful?
All right, family.
Thank you, Zulma, and so grateful for you being here with us.